Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Hens back with another video. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about how I'm going to be preparing for the fantasy hockey event this year and also when I think it's going to be coming out. Now, before we get started, I want to say thank you guys so much for all the support. If you guys could leave a like on this video, it helps more than anything, and check if you're subscribed because most people are not subscribed, and it very much helps me when you guys like and subscribe on the videos. So I hate shouting that out at the start of the videos, but I appreciate you guys when you do it. Now, let's take a look at what I think is going to happen for fantasy. So, for fantasy this year, I'm worried slightly that it's going to be a little bit different than previous years in the sense that the upgrades, either A, the upgrades, or B, the sets might be different, which could throw a curveball in how we prepare or how valuable these cards are going to end up being. Now, the issue that I'm seeing is that with the salary cap, people are not going to be searching for these cards like they would in previous years unless EA does something to the salary cap on these cards specifically where they like have the salary or something like that, because there's going to be no incentive to have a 99 overall on your team when the rest of your team has to be 82 overall just to fit it in. Like, it just doesn't make sense. And the stamina doesn't boost either, so like, or the endurance, I mean, like, I don't know how what to expect out of fantasy this year. What I will say is that I think there's still going to be hype around it because it's fantasy and it's the most fun event of the year because it connects with the real NHL. So I think a lot of people are still going to want to be doing fantasy. I just don't know how valuable it is going to be for people like you and I to collect as many as we can. I think it might be more worth it to just collect the card that we think is the best, that has the best chance of going up, and then B, collect the second one for our favorite team. Now, I know Sleeves posted a Coffee and Shell video today, I just watched it, where he said it might be more beneficial to go into the event with no coins and just pick an overall and go all in on that. And I think that's a viable option, but because the way that the fantasy event's looking this year and the way that the game in general is looking, with the market being so like random and EA releasing so content so like sporadically, like they'll release a big drop and then since then they really haven't released much. I'm worried that people are not going to be interested in fantasy to the same extent, and therefore the fodder prices might not jump up as much as we're used to, and or you're going to go all in with fodder. You're going to only want to make one or two cards, and then you're going to have all this fodder that you're trying to sell, and there's going to be 500 other people that are doing the same thing as you, and fodder's just going to crash. So that's another thing that I'm worried about. Now, it all depends on when fantasy comes out and how the cards work, which I can't predict right now. There's no leaks or anything, so I can't predict what it's going to be. At this point, I'm just going to base it off of what we had the last few years, where I'm going to say it's going to be beneficial to go in with A, some of your coins invested in fodder, and B, some of your coins liquid, because it's going to be very lucrative to buy these cards off the market while they're in packs because they're going to be the cheapest they'll ever be. And then over the course of the year, these cards are like index funds. Like, they're guaranteed profit no matter what. Unless the player gets injured, then they're going to crash. But other than that, like, there's no risk to these cards at all. You can pick up as many as you want, and they're just going to continue to rise over the course of the year. So what I'm personally going to do, because I have so many coins, I have 1.6 liquid right now, plus I have 2 McDavids on my transfer list, and a Fedorov here, and then I have another McDavid, another McKinnon on my actual team. So I have about 3 million coins right now, if I were to sell everything that I have. And so what my plan is I'm going to invest 1 million coins into fodder. I'm going to invest 1 million of my coins into fodder, which I'm going to discuss in a minute. And I'm going to keep 2 million liquid because the market is so much lower this year and rewards are so much harder to get that I really, really think that these fantasy cards are going to be the cheapest that they've ever been to buy off the market. And with a lot of buying power like I have, it's going to be beneficial for me to go in liquid and buy these cards off the market and just hold them as an investment. For some of you guys who only have 300,000 coins, what I would suggest for you guys is to choose a path before the event starts. Now, I'm fairly certain that they're going to give us enough or very close to enough to be able to complete one fantasy card for free, which is very nice. And if you have a favorite team and you only want the fantasy card from that team, then don't invest anything, keep your coins liquid. That's the safest route. Alternatively, you could go all in if you want to make more than one card and hope that the fodder price rises on your all-in investment, and from there you're going to be able to, sell whatever you don't want to use to make cards, and you're going to make profit on that, and then you're also going to be able to make as many cards as you can, if you want to go down that route. So those are the two alternatives. Personally, like I said, since I have a lot of coins, I'm going to hedge a little bit, where I'm going to keep 2 million liquid and use 1 million coins to purchase, a bunch of fodder, which I'm going to discuss now. Now, the overall tier of fodder, I think it depends on when the event releases. Now, with what we see in the XP path and stuff, it looks like 80 overalls are a pretty safe overall to set as your baseline, and you can go from there. So I think 80 overalls are pretty safe, but they're already kind of expensive compared to other cards. So I'm going to say there's a bit of a deviation. I wouldn't go lower than 79, and I wouldn't even invest all in on 79s at all. I would say 80 and above, 80 to 83 are pretty safe. If you can get 83s around the same price as 82s, then that's good. If you can get 81s around the same prices as 80s, or, close to it, then I think that's also safe. But in general, I'm personally kind of worried that the fantasy event this year is going to be a little bit of a letdown. So I'm a little bit skeptical on investing my coins. But I think that if I were to pick an overall, I would say 81s are what I would go for personally, where I would invest, maybe if I'm going to invest a million coins, I might invest, 400,000 into 81s, and then maybe 300,000 into each of 80 and 82 overalls. That's personally what I would do, just to hedge myself a little bit. I don't think that there's a wrong answer there. I don't think that going all in on one is a good idea either, because if I go all in on 80s and it's requiring 81s, well then I'm out of luck. Or if it's requiring 81s but you have to trade up 79s to get them, well then 80s are just worth the same amount as 79s. So if I'm going to go all in, I want to diversify what I'm buying, so that if it's requiring 81s overalls or 82 overalls, then I'm going to be covered, where if 81s are worth the same amount of 80s during the events, well then I've already gone pretty well into 80s, and then also into 82s, where those two could have a little bit more value. I don't know if that makes any sense, but yeah, this is the tier that I'd be looking at, 80 to 83 overall. So currently, as of recording of this video, it looks like 81s are going for about 5K, a little bit under, like 4,500 maybe. So 4,500 for 81s. Now, if we look at 80s, there's a lot for 4,500. So I'm assuming that these are probably closer to 4,000. Even less. So yeah, so they're about 1,000 coins less across the board than 81s, which means that it's a little bit risky. They're not close enough to the point where I'd say, okay, go all in on 81s, because they're so cheap that I can afford to do that. But they're not so expensive to the point where I'm gonna say, you know what, I'm gonna go all in on 80s, because I think the 81s are too expensive. So what are 82s? I think that they were around, last time I checked, 8,500, which I think is a little bit high right now just because of the event. Yeah, they're even higher than that. So honestly, 82s, I'm not too keen on 82s. I do think that they're safe in the way that they'll be needed for the event in some way, whether it's 81 to 83 overalls or it's 80 to 82 overalls. I think 82s are pretty safe, but they're on the higher end price wise. So I would say I'm going to avoid 82s mostly, and 83s, which I think are on the higher end of what's necessary. They're going for around 9,500. So they're 1,000 coins more expensive. So in all honesty, I think 83s are a better investment than 82s, and I think that 80s and 81s are both safe investments, where I'm probably going to go 50-50 on those, just based off the prices right now. Now, if the prices change next week, which I don't think the event is coming out next week, I think it's coming out in either next week's going to be a 1 week event, or next week's going to be a 2 week event, and then after that 2 week event, that's when fantasy is going to come out. So over the course of these next 2 weeks or so, I'm going to be starting to go in on these cards and try to get in early. And like I said, I'm only investing about 1,000,000 coins worth. I'm not going more than that. I'm not going, I'm going to do what I say. Even if I see some cards that are good value, like this Jordan Binnington for 8,500, I got that one. So boom, that's cheaper than an 82 overall. So that's a good price. So yeah, just sit on the market, casually invest some of your coins here and there. Maybe do like 4 or 5 cards a day. Just purchase 4 or 5 cards a day of each overall, depending on how many coins you have. And then, once the event drops, hopefully you invested in the right things. And if you didn't, well, I'm sorry. I'm just giving you my prediction. If you did, then great. You're going to make a lot of coins, or you're going to be able to make a lot of cards. So, yeah. Hopefully that helps you guys out. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section down below, or you can join my Discord where you can talk in the general chat where you can ping me or any of my mods who are very knowledgeable on the game, probably even more knowledgeable on the game and this sort of stuff than I am. So you can talk to them about that. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Please leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.